Hello, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Football Fusion. It is another scorching day here in the UK. You can hear I got the fan going, and these houses are not built to deal with the heat. It just feels like a sauna in here. I wanted to speak today about the Club World Cup. So, see, I got the Sevilla on. I got the Inter Miami and Sevilla or not. I wanted to speak kind of about what I've seen on social media about the Club World Cup and my thoughts on it. So, I grew up in America. I grew up in South Florida, and yes, there is a huge football community. But I think the issue with the Club World Cup was that FIFA and Infantino didn't really they didn't do the homework, to be honest. When you come to Miami, when we've had like El Clasico for preseason, you've had pretty good turnout. But that's because we do have a huge Hispanic population in South Florida, and a lot of them are going to be watching Barcelona and Real Madrid. They want to see, your Ronaldos. They want to see Mbappe's. They want to see, Rodrigo's. They want to see Messi. They want to see Suarez. When he was there, they wanted to see Neymar. Like, that's the reason they spent their money to see those teams. And I think that, what FIFA thought was that, the World Cup's coming next summer. This summer we can have it in America. We're gonna sell a lot of tickets, and that's just not been the case. At one point I was seeing posts from my friends where they're basically giving tickets away. $10 bundles. They're begging people to come. I saw what was it, Orlando City Stadium, where there were hundreds in the crowd, and I just think that FIFA didn't kind of take into account that Americans aren't interested in club football. They're just not. That you have your English teams, which you might get a little bit of a crowd. You have obviously the Spanish teams. You got the local team, which might get a crowd. But we're not gonna go watch a team from Japan play a team from Indonesia. Like, we just don't care. Especially when you don't watch them on a daily basis. American fans don't care. We're not that interested. And I also saw they were having games at 3 p.m. Like, no one's gonna leave work to watch some teams that we've never heard of. We're not gonna leave work to watch Brazilian teams. Now, what should have been done, I think, what FIFA could have done is look at the demographics for some of these, teams, and have the teams, the games where you have a good concentration of those people. And what I mean by that is, like, California, having the Japanese team go to California. You have Asian communities in California, or having, Orlando having the Brazilian teams. I don't know if you know, but Orlando has a ton of Brazilians. But you're having the Brazilian games in Wichita, Kansas. Like, no one cares. No one's gonna go watch, like, the matches. You're not gonna get a lot of feedback. South Florida, you're always gonna get people because we're very diverse. We have people from all over, and we love football. But it's just, having the matches at 3 p.m., having the matches in places where you don't have that big a following of certain teams. I just think that it was always them that fell. Now, the World Cup is going to be different. Like, World Cup comes around and people are going to be like, oh, will this happen for the World Cup? And I don't think it will. Like, if you look into it, like, your team, let's say Poland, right? We're coming there for Lewandowski because there's a name that we recognize. Slovenia. You've got players that we recognize from the Prem, players that we recognize from La Liga. You have Uruguay. You have players that you'll recognize. Suarez. I think he's retired, but you have those guys. You have guys that you recognize, and I think that's a little bit different than clubs. Besides what, City, Chelsea, you have Real Madrid in there. You've got a couple of teams with a reputation, but you've got 10 teams, and then you've got 20 teams that Palmeiras, Boca definitely have a following. River Plate. But you have a lot of teams that Americans just aren't interested in. They're not interested in the Club World Cup. And I think that it's a huge lesson to FIFA that you can't just make tournaments to make money. You can't just pop something up in America and think that it's going to sell because you've booked them at these big stadiums and you think that they're going to fill up. And Just not interested in club. Now the World Cup, the actual World Cup, I think the World Cup is going to be packed. I think that they're going to fill up every stadium because you have, as I said, America's so diverse. You have so many people from those countries, and you also have name recognition for some of those countries. For us to go watch, we might watch. You're watching this team, and you see guys from Spain. You see, Busquets. You see Messi from Argentina. So it'll be guys that you recognize. You want to go watch those games. No one wants to watch, random clubs from around the world that I've never heard of. I've never, seen on TV. I don't know anything about them. What was it? The Auckland team played Bayern Munich and 10-0. Like, it's not a good product. I think you should have picked somewhere. I think it should have picked Europe, maybe Asia to do it. And I know they've done it those places before, but I think they would have gotten a lot more feedback. Maybe participation, or if you were gonna do it in America, I would have chosen the cities that are specifically having soccer teams, football teams. That's what I would have chosen. You're trying to fill out, MetLife is going to be full because you're in New York. You have a lot of diversity, but you're trying to fill out, stadium like the Rose Bowl. You're trying to still fill out stadiums where people aren't that interested. There's no local soccer teams. There's no one that is kind of interested, and then you're having them at weird times. Yeah, I think it was always doomed to be low turnout, and I think fans are kind of, with FIFA, fans are kind of burnt out. You're having random tournaments. This World Cup, the actual World Cup, the Gold Cup, it's so many tournaments, so much football that it's kind of burning people out, and they need to consider that as well. They need to consider that people just don't have the time or inclination to watch all year, then watch in the summer, or watch teams that they're not really interested in. So I think, hopefully in 4 years they'll pick somewhere where if they'll accommodate, they'll actually look into the demographics of where they're going and what teams are kind of affiliated, what kind of demographics are in the town to get more, user interaction, to get more people. But I think it was a money grab that ultimately failed. So do better, FIFA. Hopefully, it's not a blight on America as far as the World Cup. I think it will be packed for the World Cup. I'm excited. I want to get back to watch some of the games. Watch England, watch Spain. And hopefully one of those small Caribbean teams, like Haiti, or the like, can make the World Cup. Dominican Republic. I would like to see one of those small Caribbean teams make the World Cup just for vibes. I think Jamaica will make it, but yeah. Well, that's another episode. Remember to like and subscribe if you liked it, and I'll come back later with another topic. Take care.